It's doing Boggs in the intro video. It's my favorite part. It's my favorite part of the whole video. What's up, guys? Last of Us. This almost didn't happen because we totally forgot there was an episode this week because they threw us off with the whole Friday thing. Not happy, Saul.
I know. It was a good episode, though.
Great episode.
Yeah.
Not happy.
I know.
I didn't watch the preview for next week.
Okay.
I'm sure he's fine, but still, I was like, "Don't you?" As soon as I heard the music, I was like, "Don't you?"
I would say preview for next week is a flashback, so we don't know if he's fine.
Oh my god!
So you gotta wait 2 weeks for that, Mike.
Well, we got something else. We got a time jump today. Didn't see that coming, but I'm kind of glad we did, because when you really think about how far they had to go,
yeah,
and how many episodes are left in this season, I was like, okay. And we know that this is only supposed to be the first game in this season, like beginning to end. So I was like, okay, are we gonna time jump, or what are we doing? Because we're running out of episodes here. So the 3 month, and also like the 3 month time jump puts it in the winter. So it's,
yeah.
I hadn't thought about this whole show. I hadn't thought about, like, what are winters like in this world, and not fun.
Christmas too.
It's just crazy. Yeah, we got Christmas. This was a Christmas episode, guys.
But before we get that time jump, they reshowed Henry killing himself.
Yeah,
they showed it in the previous week. It's like,
yeah,
and then they showed it again in the episode.
It's in the previously on, and then it's in the beginning of the episode again, just in case you missed it. Because I needed to relive that twice. Anyway, all right. It's a good episode. It's a very good episode. I just don't like how it ended, because it's mostly because it's like that is such a cliche.
Yeah.
Of will the Dark Knight escape the Joker's trap? Tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Like, we know he's gonna be fine. So don't end there. Like, don't.
And I mean, I'm okay with them ending there. We're going straight to the end here. I'm okay with them ending there, but brutal to be stabbed by a shiv, because that wasn't a knife, that was a shiv.
Carved from a baseball bat, it looked like.
Yeah.
Like, ow. Well, I don't even think it was a shiv. I think it was because he swung a bat at him, I think, and it broke on the tree. I think that was just...
Oh, I thought he was swinging an axe, but maybe I didn't watch. Or maybe it was like an axe made out of the baseball bat. Who knows?
Whatever he swung, I saw break on the tree. So that's just whatever was broken off left of the handle of the thing.
And that's how you stab people in prison, guys.
Yeah. Don't go to jail, kids. Just don't go to jail. If you can avoid it, if you can't help it, don't go to jail. Don't go straight to jail. So I've had a night.
I think I need to be the one to
I'm off the rails. So.
Yeah. But so we get the 3 months later, they're in Wyoming. We meet this lovely couple.
Oh, they're great.
Immediately in my head, I was just like, you know who would have probably survived this zombie apocalypse? There's a bunch of like indigenous people that already like live in the middle of nowhere, like off the land, and know how to do shit. Like we're like us in the big cities would probably be all fucking dead. And his wife was amazing and saw right through Joel.
Yeah.
Joel is terrified. And we see that a little bit later in the episode, but man, he's got some PTSD.
Yeah, we're finally seeing like Joel's walls are down at this point in this episode. His walls are down in this episode. Even if it's just with Tommy, they're still up a little bit with Ellie, but not nearly as much now that she knows about his daughter. That's kind of like that one last thing he had to keep from her that was his.
Probably not getting a lot of sleep too, so that kind of just
he's getting old.
Yeah, he's getting old. He wants to be in control and be the protector, because God forbid something happens while he's asleep. So he's not sleeping, which we saw in previous episodes. He's taking the full watch.
Yeah.
And then
it's bad for you.
And then probably too with the dreams that he was talking about with Tommy, even though he doesn't remember the dreams, he remembers the feeling of failing when he wakes up. So he's like, I don't want to go to sleep. So then he's just fucking himself up completely.
Yeah, Joel's a mess, and like life has like obviously the world for the last 20 years has taken a toll on everybody, but Joel's life specifically, like he has hit his breaking point. He can't keep doing things this way anymore. And like in a perfect world, you know, they get Ellie where she needs to go, and Joel goes and lives in this Wild West utopia. Like that's it. Which looks awesome, by the way.
Yeah. This show turned from a horror show to a Western in this episode. And my God, I was just like, it's probably so fucking cold, but man, is it beautiful.
Yeah.
Like all the scenery shots. I was like, this is gorgeous.
Well, and it's one of those, it had me thinking about like civilization, in order to endure, would have to just revert back to an earlier form of itself. And the Wild West, kind of the pioneer era type things, like that is kind of like the last time we were really truly like just communities of people just supporting themselves and each other in some way. Like that's kind of like, like let's go back to here when like everything was just kind of simple. We just made everything out of wood, and we tried really hard not to be dicks to each other.
Right.
So that makes sense. You know, obviously, like it's not we've seen in the QZs, that's not how it went for most people, because the government that was in power tried to maintain some semblance of that power.
Yeah.
But people just left to their own devices were like, what do we need to do to live? Okay, let's just do that. Okay.
And I love the kind of comments on communism that were happening. And then like Joel too, like, you're a communist? No, we're not. And the his wife, Tommy's, is just like, yeah, we are. We're in a commune. This is communism.
Actually, technically, yeah.
And then when Ellie asked about it later, she goes, no, we were too big to be communist, which is a truth. You can have communism like that works in small places.
Yeah.
But when you put it to a whole nation, it does not work.
Yeah. Star Trek has always been a good example of that. Like the only way, you know, communism, I know it's a charged word, but the only way it works is if you can eliminate greed. You know, the desire for, you know, wealth. If you have to eliminate that for communism to work, it's not gonna.
And most countries that have communism, aka Cuba, aren't actually communist because the people at the top are greedy as fuck.
Yeah, they're
it's communism for everyone else and capitalism for them. And so therefore it doesn't work. And with me, as a Cuban, I can't be like as a law. It was just like communism is a no-go, but in a small commune like that, I'm like, yeah, you can see how it works.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Look, we watch old movies and eat hot dogs and put up Christmas trees.
But Ellie doesn't trust them, and I kind of get it. I get Ellie.
Well, no, I absolutely wouldn't trust them. The first time I met you, you wanted to kill me and then took my stuff.
Yeah. You gave my stuff to other people.
Yeah, get that. Like, I get, especially someone who's only ever known like the current state of the world.
Right.
You know, Joel and
that gift that she got.
Yeah. But she was like gross. And I was like, yeah, a little bit. It's probably used. Like it's probably used. But
it didn't even look clean.
No, well, nothing's gonna look clean in a mushroom zombie apocalypse.
But they kind of have a place where you could take a shower. So, like in that area, they could
just do the best you can.
Thing. Yeah,
best you can. Look, she's lucky she found a half-empty box of tampons in the second episode.
Right.
Third episode.
Right.
So, yeah.
Which I mean, I'm glad they addressed that because they never addressed that in the apocalypse. I'm like, you do realize women bleed.
They're addressing a lot of things in this show, and most apocalypse properties don't get addressed. But anyway, so man, when they find Tommy and Joel just runs up to his little brother, I about started crying again. And I was like, no, it's too early. It's too goddamn early.
His face and Ellie's face too.
Yeah.
It's like you have Joel with the excitement and the desperation and the relief of finding his brother.
Yeah.
And because he thought his brother was in trouble because his brother stopped radioing him, and seeing that his brother is actually thriving is kind of like a relief and also a fuck you. Like, you can't tell me shit, bro. Is. And but you have Ellie in the background and you can see a little bit of jealousy there because Joel is showing a kind of love that, even though he does love Ellie, he doesn't show it in that way that he's showing to Tommy.
I don't think no one's ever shown Ellie that kind of love. She's never seen that kind of love before in her life, and she doesn't know what to make of it.
You're right.
It's completely alien to her, and this whole episode is her seeing and learning about things she's never experienced, whether it's the deep love two brothers can have for each other or the rules of football. Which yes, you're basically just slowly moving in one direction. It is. It's so fantastic. But like all she knows is like learning to shoot, learning, a whitewashed version of how this
gun doesn't work. And then Joel,
how many of us have done that where it's like it can't be me, it's got to be the thing, like it's not. Because and Joel especially knew it's like, this is my brother's gun. If there is one gun that's going to shoot as accurate as possible, it's one of Tommy's.
Right.
Yeah. Tommy was the soldier. He was the one who took care of that kind of thing. Man, he has not aged a day in 20 years.
And Joel comments be like, you look the same.
You look old as shit. And it's like, yeah, what? Okay, who got all the genes? Apparently Tommy.
And the funny thing too is, I joke, I was like, black don't crack, but brown don't frown. And be like, and Pedro Pascal's gotten old, but his brother Tommy, nope.
Nope. No, not at all. It's crazy. I hope we get to spend more time in the commune. I doubt it, but maybe one more episode. But I would like if they were going to make a spin-off of this, just like, you know what, give me a day in the life show of the commune. I want to see more of that. It was again, with this show, from episode to episode, the production designers have done the best job. Getting to be the production designer on this show must have just been like a complete wet dream. Just like, I get to build what? I get to build Zombie Apocalypse Boston and a Wild West saloon? Fuck yes.
Did you feel like when he hugged Tommy that was like the last time that he was gonna hug Tommy at the end when he was leaving?
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna see that. That thing is like, if we go back to the commune again, I'd be surprised. But even if we do, I feel like something's gonna be off. Like something just didn't feel right about it. Again, and having not played the games, I don't know what else is in store for Tommy. And the show has, by all accounts, deviated from the game a couple of times already. So who knows what could happen.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot to pick apart with this episode, because it was very character driven. It was a little less than an hour, and it did a lot with its time. This episode was just a lot of let's just move the story along. We weren't spending too much time with plans for escape or long the long love story of two people, or this was like, okay, plot is a plot,
Yeah.
which you need.
Yeah, and it was done well, and you got to see really deeper into the characters. You see Joel's PTSD. You see him see someone there in the crowd in front of the tree who has hair that looks like his daughter, and then that woman goes and hugs a small child that looks just like her, and that would be the future for Sarah if Sarah would have survived. And that like moment of, even when you know that she's been dead for over 20 years, you still are like, oh, is that her? Like in your head where he's at. And so, like, those just absolute sad moments. The moment of Joel breaking down in front of his brother, because you know what kind of man Joel is. And this tough and hardened man that has his walls up, that's not going to break down in front of anyone, that's going to do what he needs to do. And the fact that when you see men like that cry, or men like that have like those kind of vulnerable moments, it's really shocking to watch. Even though you know all people, like no one can go be that tough forever, but and that people break down when they have too much put upon you, but to actually see it on a man like Joel is tough to watch.
Especially because you got to figure the kind of man Joel's had to be for all this time. Like, I don't think that's a side of him that even Tess got to see, because even Tess, he kept some semblance of arm's length. This is side of him that I don't think Tess ever saw him cry.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No. I think that's, and he's been alone with Ellie for 3 months now.
Mm-hmm.
That was every emotion he has felt for probably the last year, coming out all at once. And it goes without saying, but hats off to Pedro Pascal for selling that, because we got to see him at his happiest in this episode, and we got to see him at his lowest in this episode. Mm-hmm. And that's a hard dichotomy to have in a span of an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I was absolutely floored by it, and I was honest, and I was also surprised we got to hear him tell Tommy everything. I thought he was going to say, "Tell me from the beginning," and we were going to cut away, and come back to it.
I thought so too.
Later, because storytelling, pacing, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
But they used that as such a great opportunity to, as Joel is telling the story of the last 3 months, every word out of his mouth is opening up more and more, because it just keeps getting darker and darker, and he has to start owning up to some of these things.
Yeah, it was a tough watch, but a great watch and a great performance. A few things too of the dreams of what to do after Ellie's blood is taken. Originally, Joel wants to have a sheep ranch because they're quiet and they listen.
I didn't buy that for a sec.
Nope. And Ellie wants to be an astronaut, and read a lot about astronauts in the QZ. Her favorite was Sally Ride. Yeah. And that was fun to like just see that kind of like, what do we do after? What do you do in an apocalypse? How do you dream of a future? And then I'm reading a book currently that is with astronauts going to a different planet that is that is able to be habited by humans but has zero human life on it. Oh, according, I'm still in the middle of the book, so it was like funny to be like, oh, some more astronaut stuff.
Turns out the book Soul's reading Planet of the Apes. It's
no.
Yeah, I totally buy, because like when you think back to episode 3, you got to go in the sky. I don't believe Joel for 1 second. I think he was saying something to shut her up.
Yeah,
and I think that's gonna come back. I think it's gonna come back.
It was funny. Then there's sheep in the compound. He's like, hey, look. And I love too when Joel's like, I'll take both, watch, get some sleep, dream of sheep ranches on the moon. That like cracked me up. So we got the banter between Joel and Ellie still being very funny, but even with an episode that breaks your heart.
Yeah. And I really loved the moments of them together, like when he was teaching her to shoot with the rifle. Like he wasn't giving her a hard time like he used to. He was dicking with her. He was grinning and smiling at her and giving her the business, but it's just like those walls
squeeze the trigger like you love it. Goes, are you gonna shoot it or are you gonna get it pregnant?
I about pissed myself when she said that, because it had been such a tense episode up to that point already, and it just kind of just popped this bubble of like, oh, okay, that's just good. Like that's fantastic. I've also had just a very weird night tonight, so I was in the mood for something to make me laugh. It's a great episode. Like I said, it's just such a character focused episode.
Mm-hmm. Although we do get an important fact, which because this is a commune that doesn't have the same technology that Fedra has, they don't have those little things to tell you whether they're infected or not. They have dogs that can smell the infection, and they don't smell it in Ellie. So that's
right. I
think that was Joel having a PTSD, worrying they're gonna get. I think the scene, if you were not in Joel's perspective, the dog goes up to Ellie, doesn't smell it, they're fine. But I think because we're seeing from Joel's perspective, Joel's fear of the dog attacking Ellie, that's why you see the dog be angry. But then you go to real life where the dog just went up to Ellie and played with.
That's fair. And that's also such a great callback to the first episode, because the neighbor dog was barking and ran away and
was able to tell what was wrong.
Which is such a classic sci-fi trope. The dogs always know. The dogs know when the Terminator's coming. The dogs know who's infected. It's a good way. It is a good way, because they don't have the technology. But like, how would these communes survive? Well, they're by a dam. They found a way to patch into the power grid coming from the dam. Or like when you think back to Bill and Frank, how it was, they tapped into the natural gas line and had the generators and all that. So it's just an interesting way of seeing how these places have learned to adapt and probably had to start thinking in ways that they've never had to think before. It's amazing what the threat of a zombie apocalypse will do to your ingenuity, kids.
And going to some of my notes, the commune's not fully communist. They have a democratically elected council. So there you go.
No one person should have controlling power. It's personal thought. That's our church, multi-faith. Okay, cool. That was the one that had me. Maybe this should be me being a cynical atheist, but I was just kind of like, okay, we got bigger problems to worry about, but all right.
Hey, sometimes when you have an apocalypse, people lose faith and other people gain it.
I don't know why, but as soon as she said that, it had me thinking about Rick and Morty when the giant heads show up and Principal's just like, listen, man, I can sit here and pray with you, or I can go out and pray to the thing that's literally controlling the fucking weather.
But here's the thing too. It show the human condition that in the commune you have a church basically and a bar.
Yeah.
Like you want to go to church and you want to get drunk, because humans will always have their vices.
Yeah. You ever been to church? It makes you want to drink. I grew up Catholic. They gave us wine at the church.
That was Jesus's blood.
Sure. Okay. All right. Is he the same blood type as me? Because I don't think that. Anyway, but yeah, like it does go to show that it's also kind of this idea that like people still have that inherent good in them when it comes to forming community of like, hey, look, people still want to go worship. Okay, fine. Here's a place. Go do your thing. Whatever it's like the chapel at a hospital. Whatever you pray to, go pray to it in this room over here.
Right. And it's funny too to go into this commune, and both Joel and Ellie, specifically Ellie, is just not very trusting of this place, because it's like everyone's too nice. What the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
And even in the case that Joel, he ends up telling Tommy the full truth of everything, but at first he lies about Tess and Ellie.
To Tommy.
Yeah.
Not just to Tommy.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of that speaks to, because when the last episode ended, when Joel and Ellie were walking away from Henry and Sam's graves, Ellie was not the same person as she was. No. That changed her. That changed her hard. And 3 months in the wilderness with Joel, she's very dependent on him. He is the most consistent thing she's had in her life, probably. She doesn't want there to be anything coming along that's going to threaten that. I mean, the minute, as much shit as he gives her, the moment the idea pops up that he might split from her, she's not having it. She almost practically she practically admits as much. She can't do this without him. She needs him.
Well, at the end, I can't fucking do this without you while he's down. But even in their scene together, which apparently I'm hearing that's a big scene from the game, is them in the room. Yeah. The do you give a shit about me or not kind of like, and you see where Joel's coming from. Joel's like, my brother's younger than me. Look at what he's been able to accomplish here. Like, he's going to get her to safety. But the fact that you get that everybody I've cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except you. And it's one of those things where she's telling him, if I don't have you around, I'm scared. But to Joel, having Ellie around makes him more scared. Because before Ellie, he wasn't fearful.
Bill said the same thing about Frank. He's like, I wasn't afraid of anything until you came along. It's that idea of it is a love. It is absolutely a love. And I think Joel, one of the things he has to reckon with is, it's kind of like what Tommy said. It's like, just because your life stopped doesn't mean mine had to.
Right.
And, Joel, I think he, in a way, feels like if he lets Ellie in, he's replacing Sarah. And I get that. But I think that's why he still keeps that. Even at the end of this, like, there is still an amount of arm's length with her, because he, like you mentioned earlier, he's still, quote unquote, seeing his daughter in random people 20 years later. So he can't let that go.
And it's really interesting to see how two different parents who have lost their children kind of differentiate in how they go on. Where you have Maria, who lost her son Kevin, and if you look at the dates, he was 3 years old when he dies. And you look at the date of Sarah's 14. So in a sense, too, like, you had longer with that child. That child is more free thinking and has a mind of her own and is her own person, whereas like a 3-year-old is a 3-year-old that like fully needs you and hasn't fully developed themselves yet.
Tiny and unemployed.
Right. And so you have Maria, who goes on with her life and creates this commune and finds Tommy and starts a new family. And you have Joel, who cannot let Sarah go.
And I think, and I'm sure we'll probably get some of this later, and this is probably pretty obvious to a lot of people, but he probably still blames himself for Sarah's death.
100%.
For whether it's because he left her home alone, or because he was holding her when he got shot, or what for something he did, or just for whatever happened that night, or because it was his fucking birthday. He's forever going to be haunted by this and blame himself, because the night his daughter died was the night that the zombie apocalypse started, which was his birthday.
And you know who else, though, I think that never forgets it, even though he's starting a family? I think that Tommy also blames himself for Sarah's death.
because he wasn't there or didn't get there in time to shoot the
yeah,
or because he was in jail and that's what made Joel
and saw the downfall of his brother after his niece's death. And as I'm not a parent, but I am a tia, and I have a niece and nephew, and if anything ever happened to them, I would not be okay.
I have a cat. If anything happened to Rosie, I would burn buildings down. That cat is my world. I say she's locked out of the room right now. There's a lot of expensive equipment in here, kids. It's just and I've said it already like twice now, like such great character exploration and development in this one. We spend so much time. A lot of times in these shows, you either get a plot episode or a character episode. This show has been very good about giving us both in the same episode.
Mm-hmm.
There's never anything that feels like filler or like even the stuff with Bill and Frank. I know a lot of people felt like spending an entire episode on that didn't progress thing. I disagree wholeheartedly.
I do too.
I think on top of it setting up as a deviation from the game, this is why Bill and Frank aren't going to be a part of it going forward. And also just showing the idea of how other parts of the world found a way to function. I mean, we're seeing that obviously in this episode with the commune, but I think there's a lot to gain from that. But anyway, I'm getting off.
Yeah, I also think with that episode, you see the effects on Joel. And this is the type of man Joel's been. And then, because Joel and Frank are not too far away from each other.
Bill.
Bill, yeah.
Yeah. Frank's the nice one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Frank's the nice one.
Yeah. So they're not too far, although Bill was like that beforehand.
Yeah.
Where Joel we saw him, he was much better, but Joel kind of became what Bill had been. And it's funny to see those two characters where Joel goes from being a normal dad to then becoming that hardened individual. And you see Bill go from being that hardened individual to becoming a loving husband, basically, because they got married at the end of that. So the way it parallels with Joel and just the letter there of saying, use this to protect Tess, and how that affects Joel going forward, because now it's not to protect Jess, it's to protect Ellie. It's to protect Ellie. So I think that episode really does move the story along forward, even though you're with two people that don't exist anymore in the show.
Right. And so with this, but to go back to my original point, like they've done such a good job of both telling story and developing character and balancing the time they use. We haven't had the first episode was considerably longer because it was doing a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
They've all kept around an hour, give or take, and used that time to do a lot without it feeling overwhelming or confusing. So, and like I said, completely knocked it out of the park. I don't like how it ended, but
we haven't really talked about it yet. They do make it to what is it's
Colorado, University of Colorado,
Eastern College,
the college.
Yeah, the college, the university. They make it there. They see the Firefly symbol, and it turns that it seems like they got the hell out of Dodge. And there's monkeys there. Ellie sees monkeys for the first time in her life.
She's getting that kid's getting a lot of firsts.
Yeah, no, like she's probably like, oh my God, look at the world around me. But
like
so she
legs.
Right. And the fact too, like it was the monkeys up there, and they were like, well, at least it wasn't a clicker. And the kind of like the relief of that, but then seeing those raiders.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, we need to get out. And I love the playing of Joel's shitty hearing. Like, he doesn't hear properly, and therefore that's getting him in trouble. So he doesn't hear that guy coming.
Yeah.
Because it's on his bad side, his ear.
Yeah.
So that's why he kind of needs Ellie around him to be his ears for him. It kind of,
Yeah.
watch out. And you saw too, like, him going for that kill immediately, because you've seen him hesitate after meeting Ellie, because he's kind of become a softer individual. But in that moment, he's just like, fuck you. You're not getting me. You're not getting Ellie. You're dead. Snap neck. He doesn't even feel himself getting stabbed because he's full on adrenaline. I'm killing whoever tries to hurt Ellie, pretty much.
We saw parts of that too in episode 4 when they, when they get to the city and are attacked, like, because Joel knows these are raiders, like, it's kill or be killed. This isn't other people who are just, we're just crossing paths, or an elderly indigenous couple living in a cabin. It's like, oh, these are people who, if I don't kill them first, they will kill me. This isn't the people from the commune who I can talk to and reason with and eventually get in good with. Not these people.
And you've seen that rage before, even at the end of the first episode, when that flashback, that PTSD basically, when he kills that Fedra agent. And you see, even in this episode, his hand is still not fully like fixed or healed. Like, he's still having issues with his hand. And that's just small little attention to detail. Because, like, he's not mentioning his hand. No one is like, what happened to your hand? But you still have those moments, him putting the hand in the river, or like a few episodes back, or him like trying to wrap his boots with duct tape and his hand shaking. He still has remnants of him beating the shit out of that Fedra agent.
Yeah, everything that's happened up until now has had lasting consequences.
Yeah.
Like, after 3 months of hiking nonstop, your boots are falling apart. You've got to do something to keep. They're not going to last. Your hands were broken and never given a chance to heal properly. They're gonna be fucked up probably for the rest of his life, the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I like that we're seeing consequences, like something, because of the world we're in. When something breaks, it stays broken.
Yeah.
You can't go get a new one or go to the doctor and get it wrapped for a month. Like, no, something breaks, it's broken, and you got to find a way to make do.
Yeah. And speaking of trust from earlier, Maria doesn't trust Joel.
No.
And blames Joel for Tommy's past, which, that, if anything, that might play a role in the future, whether that be this season or the next season, because it just seemed like there's like just fertile ground to pick from there with that relationship between Maria and Joel, because Joel's not too happy with her and the way Tommy is, and she's not too happy with Joel with Tommy's past. And to me, I'm like, you have to also give blame to your husband too. It wasn't just Joel who was killing those people.
Yeah. Well, and something that you've probably heard a lot of other people say, and I'm going to repeat, is there are 3 sides to every story: person A's version, person B's version, and what actually happened. I guarantee you that Joel has given Ellie his side of the story, and Tommy has given Maria his side of the story.
Yeah.
And they're both painting it in one direction or the other that's going to paint them in the favorable light, because odds are they both regret their whatever involvement they themselves had. And Ellie calls her on that.
Yeah.
She's on her hair. She's like, Tommy was there too. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, and she's just like, well, he was just following Joel. And to me, I don't think that Tommy was saying, oh, I was just following my brother, because I don't think that Tommy's that type of person and but I think he was saying, oh, me and my brother, and Maria, who is in love with Tommy, wants to see him in as good a light as possible, is saying, oh, he was following his older brother. So it's very much too that I don't think that's the narrative Tommy gave her. I think that's the narrative she created in her head from the story she was told.
Because I'm sure, because remember, he's the one who joined up and went to Desert Storm. He's the one who joined the Fireflies. Joel, we don't know about whatever this dark time they were talking about. They were a part of where they were straight up killing people. Odds are, I have, and again, at the game, I have a feeling they were raiders at one point.
Yeah. I mean, Joel admitted it in not the last episode, but the previous to last episode, where he was like, I was on both sides.
Right, but I think he was.
I think he was saying, like, I have been a raider and I've had raiders attack me. I think it was kind of one of those, like, that's how I knew they were raiders, is because I've been one and I've been attacked by them before too.
I think he's either been a raider, or I think one of them at one point joined Fedra. I would not be shocked.
I don't know about joining Fedra, but I think for sure that they were. I think for sure that they were raiders, because the way that Joel said, "I don't work with narcs." I don't think Joel was ever Fedra, and I don't feel like Tommy was either.
I don't know. I could see it totally, but again, haven't played the game. I don't know. I could be way off. I think the raider thing definitely, like, either they were raiders or they were just living like fucking barbarians for a bit. I don't know.
I think they were raiders, and I think Tess was too. And that was, they had to do what they had to survive.
Yeah. Like, do I like the idea of a raider? No. Do I understand how this kind of world could drive a person to become one? Yeah. Holy shit. Everything, the world ends, and you just gotta live. It can do crazy things to a person.
But to leave things on happy notes too, with more of Joel and Ellie, of Joel saying, actually, I lied. I want to be a singer. I've always wanted to be a singer since I was a kid. Because you gonna sing for me later? I'm gonna save the fucking world. At least you can do for me is sing.
If I don't get to hear Zaddy Pedro sing for me by the end of this show, I will lose my mind.
I was just like, I literally was like, he's not gonna sing this episode, but he better fucking sing.
He better fucking sing. He better fucking show. If I don't get to hear Pedro Pascal sing as Joel on this show,
in his southern accent,
full-blown Texan, doing like Sunshine on My Goddamn Shoulders by John Denver, something, or Linda Ronstadt, I don't give a fuck. If I don't get to hear him sing this season, what was the point of the show? What was the point? Because anyway, I'm sorry. I need that, and I need that.
I think he's not a happy camper more for that than Joel falling off his horse.
He better not die, because I haven't heard him sing yet. That's all I'm saying. Once he sings, fuck him. But I need to hear him sing. No, look, it's a very good episode.
Yeah.
I know he's coming back.
And it looks like they're going to Salt Lake City.
Whoa, come on down to Salt Lake, everybody. We're not Vegas. We're not even.
We got a bunch of Mormons.
You got a lot of more. Bring your wives. I mean, no.
Damn. Sorry, Brennan.
It's from Robin Williams. It's a Robin Williams quote. Don't fight me. But also that's funny. Anyway, he's not watching. It's okay. Anyway, no, great episode. Didn't love how it ended. It's fine. I'm gonna get over it. I'm already
when
I'm just milking it.
Yeah, when you see that he's okay and you're able to fully binge the first season again, you're gonna be like, yeah, that was fine.
Yeah, I know. I know it's a misdirect. I don't like to be misdirected. It's more. It's more. I'm just mad at myself for believing that because up until
you're mad at yourself for being worried, even though you know he has main character plot armor, so he's fine.
Yeah, because that's how attached to this character I am. Is like, he's fine. He's on the poster. He's the top build. he's fine, but I hate that I care because that means they're doing such a good job and I've been manipulated.
And then you're also like, I also saw him die in Game of Thrones.
Well, I also saw him die in Game of Thrones. So who the hell knows what's true anymore?
HBO has killed a Pedro before.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't think that, I didn't think, you know, but also I'm mad at myself for believing this episode because up until that point, the episode had been pretty harmless, all things considered.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those where I'm like, oh yeah, I've been having too good of a time.
Yeah. And that road was easy. They had no trouble getting to the university.
Yeah. And it's just, why'd she have to say that? Yeah, we had no trouble at all. Where's all this trouble? Tommy said we were going to get. Shut the fuck up. Just
or even like Dead River.
Oh my God, stop taunting fate. I know you both have plot armor, but stop it. She has plot armor and plague armor. That's too much armor. Great episode. Love the show so much. More, please. Yeah.
Are we going back to horror next episode?
Probably. I didn't watch the preview, so I don't know, but probably. We had too much fun this episode.
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right. That's what we think, guys. Thank you for those of us who have joined, those of you who have joined us live here. Kind of late, I know.
You can thank yourself too.
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thank you guys. Let us know down in the comments what you all thought of this episode. We will be back again next week, assuming we remember we're having an episode next week to talk about it live afterwards. And we will see you guys again next time here on Off the Wall. I'm just saying, like I need to hear him sing. I need that in my life.